Tourist culture. Is it the cause of international conflicts? An agency from the United Nations named the World Tourism Organization quantified their 2017 findings in a press release in January 2018. They stated that just in the last year, international tourism grew 7% to reach a total of 1,322 million people. Europe saw the highest number of tourists, reaching 671 million in 2017. The industry also contributed to $7.6 trillion into the global economic market in 2016. Despite all of these wonderful contributions of tourism, we must consider the negative effects of the industry. What is the impact of the absence of information on cultural norms in Paris, and how does this cause conflicts between hosts and tourists? Do tourists feel more comfortable deviating from their native behavior due to the idea of tourist culture? I hypothesize that the French tourists see the need for better education regarding appropriate etiquette, and this lack of information created tensions between the two groups. Finally, I thought that the high expectations created by industries created tensions when these expectations were not met, and addressed the idea through an autoethnographic study. This hypothesis was proven, but did not completely align with my findings, which will be further explained. The research types that were used were 2-hour-long interviews with tourists, an autoethnographic study of travel through France, 5 short interviews with French customer service representatives, and a literature review. To understand the issue further, I explored many questions such as, why was it that I was having such a hard time getting proper customer service in France, and why were my expectations so far from my lived reality? The most resounding answer that I received was when I asked a Canadian who was in France for work what his opinion was on tourist culture. He was able to give me insight into discrepancies that he observed within different countries. I asked him, what have you learned by working and traveling in 27 countries and having to cope with different cultures?
Most countries are very different from the country that I call home. However, once I learned not to expect it to be like Canada or trying to make the people act up to Canadian standards, I began actually experiencing the country for what it truly can be.
Understanding behavioral norms is of high importance in creating respectful travel and cultivating an understanding of the recipient's host culture. This can prove to be highly effective in creating a relationship between the two parties. This research was necessary because there is a lack of understanding within the tourism industry with regards to tourist attitudes and feelings, as opposed to the magnitude of research on the host countries. Unfortunately, tourists do suffer from a lack of proper information provided by the host country in terms of proper behavior etiquette and culturally specific customs. This information should be made accessible to all incoming travelers in order to alleviate the disagreements that stem from the lack of understanding.